how's it going, boys and girls? Brad the Guitologist here. Last month in February, I was sent a bunch of parts by Temu. Well, I got really sick in February, and the sickness lasted for about 2 or 3 weeks. I was kind of coughing my head off. There was no way I could make the video and honor the deal. And plus, we had some issues with some of the things that was sent. They sent some necks, and one of them was kind of busted on the end, and the other one was missing a part. So I let them know about that, and without even me prompting them, they just kind of said, well, just pick some more items, and we just push it back till next month. So they sent me another budget of a couple $100 to spend, and we were going to push the video back to the next month. But I told them, I was like, look, I don't really feel comfortable with that. Instead, let's just, next month I'll do 2 videos. And they said, fine, that's cool. We'll do 2 videos next month. So we've already done 1 this month, and I'll put a link up here somewhere. Where is it going to be? It's going to be over here, right? Yeah. I'll put a link up there if you haven't seen that one. In that video, we restored a 1972 Electra guitar, and it came out really cool. Had a lot of fun with it. In this video, we are going to build another Temu Strat. Now, in that previous video that I just pointed you to, I did show where this neck was missing a bone nut, so we're gonna have to install a bone nut. When they sent me this neck without a nut on the next order, I went ahead and ordered some bone nut blanks to install one on this. So we're gonna do that. And I also went ahead and with my own money, I went ahead and this should tell you something about the quality of this body. I went ahead and ordered another one of their guitar bodies because they were not available whenever I went to order the last time some parts, and then they became available, so I just went ahead and grabbed it. I was like, look, 60 bucks or whatever it was, 62 bucks was nothing for a body of this quality for me. I just thought, man, that's a pretty good deal. So instead of using the other body, which is a it's like a pancake plywood body that we were going to use for this build, since the neck is so nice, I thought, well, let's just get a solid wood body and throw with it. So all of these parts are going to be Temu parts. Now, last time I built a Strat from Temu Parts, a Partscaster. I'll put a link up here for that too. I got a bunch of complaints. I mean, a bunch of complaints from people who just didn't get the concept that Sean and I, who were doing a build off, and we agreed kind of that we could use 2 things that were not Temu. Well, in this one, we're gonna try to build this thing with all Temu parts. And download the Temu app. You know, they've also got free shipping and free returns on all their stuff. Like if something arrives late even, they give you like some money back. So I'm gonna put the link to the app down in the description. It'll be right at the top of the description there if you wanna check that out. Also, there's a search code. If you use the code, you'll get a $100 coupon bundle. I showed it in the last video, but I'll just do a quick recap. So we've got some tuners. They're Clouson style Strat tuners, so we're going to use those. We also have pots from Temu. These are 250K. These are the B pots, so they are linear. And usually I get linear on, especially on volume pots. I got 4 of the same type, and I may switch the tone pot out for something else, but we'll see. Anyway, here is a I know some people call these boat jacks. I usually call them football jacks, and then I call the other style of football jack a flush mount football jack, but I don't know, whatever. It's a boat jack, if you want to call it that. So we got a jack. We have this set of Alnico V pickups. I mean, for this set, this is what I'm really excited about on this build. This set of Alnico Vs. Look at these pickups, dude. They've got bevels on the tops of the pole pieces. They've got the fiberboard bottoms, nice labeling. They've got M for the middle. They tell you exactly where the pickups go. Got middle, B for bridge right there on that one. But they sell these sets of pickups. Where's the other one? There it is. They sell these for, I think they're like 40 bucks. So 40 bucks for the pickups. We've got about 60 bucks in the body, which is a Temu body, but I bought it with my money. Got, I think these necks are about, I'm thinking they're 60 bucks. These are the nicer ones. They sell some that are like in the $40 range. I'll put the prices up for these. I'm thinking these are like 60 bucks or something like that too. So all in all, I think we're gonna have $200 or less in this build. So this will be really fun. Another thing that I'm kind of excited about here is to test out these bridge saddles. Now these bridge saddles, I already have a bridge from a previous project we're going to put on here, and it's exactly the same one that you would get on Temu. I did not bother to buy another one because I knew I had that part on hand, but it is exactly the same part as the one that I built my other Strat with, and I compare the two, and they're the same part. So this technically will still be all Temu parts, even though I already had that bridge on hand. We are going to install these saddles, though. These are brass saddles that I found on Temu. Really excited about these too, to test these out. You're looking at 10 bucks, man, for that set of brass saddles. Really good price, I thought. We also have a couple of rollers for the headstock thing. This is gonna be fun. So if this sounds like something you'll be enjoying, then stick around. And like I said, they sent me 2 different parts hauls. One of them was for the first video. The second one was for this video. So I've got some other things that they sent to me. This is a 4-channel interface from Depushang. You guys might remember that name from when we got my drum microphones. I'll put a link up there showing the drum microphones and mixer. They were all Depushang stuff. And I thought, okay, that stuff was halfway decent, you know, for what it was. So let's try this out. So this is a 4-channel. The one I have now currently is only a 2-channel. So this will expand my simultaneous recording capability. And at the end of this, we will record the demo using this Depushang and see what it sounds like. I ordered some of those strap locks. This is going to be another video probably right here. This is a 12-string upgrade set, and it's kind of serendipitous that they were selling this on there, because I saw it and I was like, I think I know somebody who has a 12-string that needs a bone nut and a bone saddle and an upgraded set of bridge pins. So that's what they have here. They have a bone 12-string nut and saddle and wood bridge pins. That'll be for another video, another day. Also got a set of, and I was just curious about this because, I mean, fret wire is not that expensive, but this is a whole set of fret wire. I thought, you know, if this fret wire is any good, that's a pretty good deal, and it'll save some time because it's all pre-cut. So that will be yet another video right there. So there's 2 videos we can make out of some parts. And here are some bone saddles for a Stratocaster. I'm hoping these will be pretty close. I mean, I can always modify, of course. Some of these are curved on the bottom, so they follow the radius of the fretboard. Some are not, though. This one's straight across, and I'm thinking that's what I need here, is a straight across one. But anyway, that is a bone nut for this one, so that'll be an upgrade from the last one we built, which I'm pretty sure that is plastic. And also, I couldn't resist. You know, I had some money left over at the end of my shopping spree there, and I was like, okay, what else do I need? And I really didn't see anything else I thought I needed at the moment, so I went ahead and got a second set. This is how much I thought of those brass saddles. I went ahead and got a second set of these brass saddles to put on something else. Who knows, maybe I'll go back on this Strat and install them on that, since I like these so well. Maybe we'll put those on there. I also got a bunch of these little piezo buttons, and these are just kind of handy to have around for a lot of different things. I also got a stand for cymbals, and this stand actually is a boom stand. And if I want to get technical about it, it's actually a hide-a-boom stand. So this will actually hide down in here inside and make a straight stand out of it. This attaches on here, and the way they have this attached, I'm not real fond of, I'll be honest. They've got like a little lock screw here, a little set screw. I don't like that. I don't like it just having a set screw on the side to rely on that to stay steady. So probably what I'm going to do on this is modify it slightly and drill a hole there, and then just use a regular screw passing through here and into there, which will get it nice and cinched up. And just be a lot more stable. You know, it's okay. It's a double brace stand on the bottom, but my honest opinion of it is, while it's decent quality, it's not top notch. Let's go ahead and start working on this neck, and then we'll get into the electronics after that, installing on the pickguard. Okay, so I've put the first coat of tung oil on that neck, so while I'm waiting for that, we're going to go ahead and load this pick guard. We can't put the second coat of tung oil until tomorrow. At least that's what the can calls for. It says, actually, and if you're not used to using tung oil, this is the tung oil I usually recommend, this Minwax stuff. There's a couple different types of tung oil, but this right here is the easiest to use, and it does a really, really good finish. Okay, so I'm finally getting around to installing these pickups that we got, these Alnicos. Okay, took these off, and these actually come with your little rubber bumpers for height adjustment. Just a really tight wrapping. They did not skimp on the number of winds by the look of it. They've wound this really nicely. Just a good looking pickup, man, from stem to stern, if you ask me. So we'll get these installed and check them out. One of these, actually, the poles had been pushed down. I think these middle two had been pushed down, so they were protruding from the bottom here. I didn't notice that until somebody pointed it out. So I've gone ahead and just pushed those back through, and all I did was just tap on it with my little wooden mallet a little bit and push those back in, so now they're correct. And now for the ASMR portion of our program. Okay, so we are back with this Temu Partscaster build, and as you can see, I've kind of gotten a little further along here. I have finished the neck. Okay, the neck has been tung oiled with 3 coats of tung oil. Basically, you wipe it on, you wait about 5 or 10 minutes, and then you come back and you buff it out with a soft cloth, and then you apply another coat about a day later after that coat has had a chance to cure. And I did that process 3 times, so it's got 3 coats on it. It has a reasonable sheen, and yet it's not overly glossy. Feels really great. To finish it off, we're going to do some fret work on the edges. I'm just going to dress those up on the edges. We also need to go ahead, and since I did tung oil, I wasn't too worried about burning the logo in after the application of the tung oil. I don't think it's going to really matter very much. The tung oil is not a very thick finish to begin with. I think the laser will go through it just fine. So we're going to laser the logo on this headstock just like we did with that last Temu Strat. So we're also to the point now where we're thinking about what we're going to do with the electronics. Now the electronics in this, I've wanted to kind of do something a little bit different, you know, put a twist on the electronics, and I've been thinking about what to do here, and I might do another blend knob like I did with the other Strat that we did, but I might do it slightly differently. So we have one of these pots up here on the bench because we are going to change this pot to a no load pot. That means we're gonna open the thing up, and we're gonna have to scrape off a little bit of the carbon track on there. We want this to be a blend pot so that when it's all the way in one of these positions, that there is no load on it, meaning we're gonna have to actually cut the trace off on one of these sides. I want it when it's all the way down to be the no load position, because I want to be able to turn the pot up and blend in the neck, or when we're in the neck position, I want to be able to also turn the pot up and blend in the bridge. Well, first things first, actually, let me put it back in the no load position, which is all the way down. So that is the no load position. And when I open this up, you're going to see the exact part of the trace that we'll have to cut. So we'll just raise these 4 tabs. There's 4 tabs here we're going to raise. All right. So now that those are open, we can take the pot out. And if we turn it over, we're going to see that this little detent right here, that is the part that is making contact with this little track. There's a little track that it goes around and makes contact with all the way around. So we're going to have to sever the connection on this side. And we're going to have to do it in such a way that when it's in the exact position that it's in, it's setting on nothing. We need to eliminate an area right here where there will be none of this carbon. I do not want to take this whole thing apart. There's no clip or anything here that we can, this is actually just all press fit together. It's kind of cheap, it's plasticky, and this will break if we try to take any of this apart further. So what we're gonna have to do is turn it so that we can see it, like on this side, for instance, we can see more of the carbon track. We're gonna turn this so we can see more of it. We'll get to a spot where we can actually access it, like right there. Now we can access this carbon track and we'll be able to eliminate some of this area right here. I think an X-Acto knife is gonna be the best way to go here. When it's all the way this way, like this, that's pretty much the extreme down position. You see it's setting on no carbon, and it's not going to have any connection whatsoever with the carbon trace. So now we can get the backing back on this. But yeah, quality wise, I mean, you know, I didn't expect a whole lot. I mean, it is plasticky in there, and it's all kind of press fit together. There's no way to, you know, really repair the thing if it does start to come apart. It would be difficult, in other words. The old school pots were definitely better than this, but this will suit our needs. You know, just get a pair of pliers or something and just squeeze the opposite sides together first of all in this direction. Now we can just push these tabs down. Okay. And while we're at it, we'll go ahead and lubricate this pot too, since we have it here. I use this Max Pro Electronics lubricant, and I just usually spray pots down pretty good inside before I install them in something. It just puts this layer of this stuff will kind of stay on the surface and lubricate this pot. Okay, I've got the pick guard wired now, and we're just kind of testing it out. Blend knob. Oh, that works great. Okay, there's those two. Middle by itself. There's this one. And I can also blend in, have all three pickups in those quack positions. Okay, yeah, that's working out really great. Okay, the thing to do now is get the wires installed for the jack. We'll need 2 wires for that. I've got cloth wire I can use. Somebody sent me some cloth wire a while back, and that's what I've been using for all this. So it's nicely done in cloth wire, so it at least looks pretty good. Looks the part. And I was able to find an old Sprague capacitor that is kind of the same type that would have been used in the old vintage Strats. So that kind of looks the part there. One last couple little things. I've got just some stray cloth coming in here, and that wire's way too long, and so is that one. Clip those. That's all really nice and clean looking, and we're ready to get this thing installed. Okay, so we're starting to slowly get this thing together, and I drilled the holes for the claw here for the trim, and this body is not the same as the last one. This one looks and smells to me, if I had to guess, that is maple. I think the last one was some kind of species of mahogany. This one is definitely a lighter wood, and by lighter I mean the color is lighter. The body is still fairly heavy, so I don't think it's basswood, which wouldn't bother me if it was basswood. It's not a big deal, but I don't think this is basswood. I think it's probably maple. So we'll go ahead and install a couple of springs in this. One thing I forgot to show in the last video I made doing a Partscaster was I only really ended up using 2 springs, and that's usually what I do use in a Strat style guitar build is 2 springs. And I think that's probably going to get it here with this. But yeah, here's my method for getting these on. Basically just take a screwdriver, put it through the hole, anchor it up over the claw you want it to go inside of. Let's see, let's get that hooked on better. And then just lift. And it goes right on there. Okay, easy peasy on that part. We have the same problem on this one that we had with the last one that we built, in that the pick guard is just not really the perfect correct fit for this. Probably I could force it to fit, but it's way too close to the trim back here. So when you lift this and stuff, it's gonna rub up against this and make all kinds of noise and just throw everything off. Alright, it's hard to tell how much that's taken off, but check it here. Better already, but still we got a ways to go before we get away from it. Time for a battery change. Getting close. I can see I've gone far enough on this end though. I don't want to take any more off of this end. I want to start about right here. Okay, I think that's probably gonna get it right there. On these bodies, I wish they wouldn't even drill holes for the pick guards. It's a waste of time because I'm having to drill practically all of them anyway. I really wish they wouldn't put any drill holes in the body for the pick guards. Neck pocket is a little bit wide on these bodies for the types of necks that they sell on Temu. So if you're buying a body and a neck from Temu, the pocket's not going to fit perfectly. You can shim it on the side if you want, or you can just leave a gap. It's not the end of the world because it's a 4-bolt neck anyway. On the last one I did, I was able to get this screw hole and this one to line up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that on this one. Not without taking some more off of this, which I might have to do. Okay, I'm actually going to have to take a little bit off the side of this up here too to fit around this this trim. I think I could probably work with that. Go ahead and get 1 or 2 screws in, and then we can hit the rest. I'm going to try to get this one existing hole to work. This hole will still work too, so we were able to make 2 holes, just like the last build. We were able to make these 2 holes work without having to re-drill them. Everything else though, we're having to drill. I think that's going to be pretty killer. You'll notice I decided on this one not to include any shielding. I want to try it without shielding actually first, and I want to maybe compare it to my other Strat a little bit and play around with it for a while. On the next string change, I'll take the neck. It's easy to do. Just take the neck off on my string change, take this out, and I actually want to paint the inside with some shielding paint. But right now, man, there is no noise. This thing's plugged in. It's on. Its volume's all the way up. There's almost no noise at all. It's there, but it's not much. Because of the way they order on Temu, and because of the budget that I had, I couldn't really order the exact pots that I wanted or needed for this, because I would have had to do 2 different orders, and I wouldn't have had enough money for all the things I wanted to get this time. But normally I would have liked to have gotten another set of maybe 4 an audio taper or logarithmic. A logarithmic or audio pot is better for tone knobs, and linear pots are better for volume knobs. And I'll show you exactly why linear pots are better for volume knobs, because look at this. Okay, we're on this pickup. Watch. Smooth all the way up. There's no point at which it just kind of drops off. However, with the tone knob, there's a point right down toward the bottom where it sort of falls off rapidly. So if you want, you know, to dial in a tone that's markedly different than the all up tone, then you have to come way down to almost 4 or 3 before it kind of starts being noticeable, you know, to any great extent. So, you know, this really needed to be a logarithmic pot. In normal builds, I would do that, but in this one, the idea was to try to build an all Temu parts guitar, which we have done. The only exception is going to be the neck plate. They did not have, I didn't see at least, any neck plates that you could just purchase separately on Temu. So I am going to use a neck plate that I already had on hand and some neck plate screws. Okay, so it's time to do a little bit of neck work here, and we're going to take care of the fret ends. And in addition to all the parts being Temu parts, we've also got a couple of other things from Temu that we're going to use on this project. So this is a fret leveling file. If it comes to having to level frets, we will use this file. Also, we have this file set right here, and these will also be down in the links below if you want to check these out. First things first, though, we do have somewhat of a sharp edge on these frets. It's not bad. I'm just going to hit it real quick with this file first. Okay. And there's the first ding on the headstock. If I wanted to leave this at that, that would be perfectly fine, but I am going to go ahead and ball up these fret ends slightly. All these frets up till this one have been done. This one actually I probably could make a little more uniform now that I'm seeing it in the camera. There's one little spot there. But you can see what I've done to kind of round those off and ball up those ends a little bit. You know, they're not 100% perfect. I could come back and hit these with different sanding methods and get those a little bit nicer, but you could see the difference between like this and this, how these still have the sharp corners. And you can basically watch this one transform. And you see the difference there from when it was. But we're going to do this to the whole neck, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so I have all of these fret ends done now, and we're going to check the level of the frets here in just a second. But man, look at this board. Look at how beautiful this thing is after the finish that I applied. And this thing really looks fantastic. You know, of course we still have to put this nut on, but fret ends look really a lot better than they did. No sharp edges whatsoever. Really, really smooth. And I rarely show this part on camera, but okay, this one's high, it's rocking. But the first thing you do when you find a high fret, I mean, I could mark this and then come back to it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm immediately going to bang this fret all the way down to make sure that it's well seated. So I want to make sure I'm on, obviously, a backing that's not going to damage the neck, and it is. It's on this carpet. But I'm just going to take my wooden mallet here and give this a couple of good whacks and make sure that that fret is seated before I do anything else. Now, I mean, the temptation would be to come in here and do some filing on that, but I may not have to. Like right now, that's rocking much, much less than it was. Still rocking some though. And I could certainly tell they probably did not bend this fret completely. That's probably where they messed up on that fret right there. It's too straight. Yeah, it's still rocking right there. There's space up under this fret right here. Looks like there's space up under this fret right up here too, right there. I can actually slip my thumbnail under that. Yeah, you can see how that fret right there is up off of the board. I'll tell you what I'm going to do here. I am going to radius this fret. I'm going to pull the fret, and then I'm going to bend it slightly and then reinsert it, and hopefully that takes care of it. Thankfully I am able to get up under this one edge up down here so I don't have to damage the fret. I'm going slowly with this because I don't want to bend the fret in any way. If I was just swapping this fret out, I could just yank it, it'd be fine, because I'm not really that worried about chip out with a maple fretboard. But there's the fret out. Okay, now with the fret out, we can see it doesn't have much radius to it at all. Okay, so I have some radius blocks. These are from Stuart McDonald, but you can actually get these radius blocks, believe it or not, also from Temu. And putting my Stuart McDonald radius block on here, I can see that this is a 9.5 inch radius on the board, which is what I like. I like on Fender style guitars is a 9.5 inch radius. See that fret? That's supposed to be flat down all the way across, and it's not. It's touching on the ends, and there's a big, and it just goes straight across in the center. So we're gonna pound that down. Actually, I might over radius instead. So instead of a 9.5, let's go with something more like a 7.25. Okay, so I'm going to grab my 7.25 block. I forget how much these blocks are on Temu. I'll put it up on the screen. The way I look at these luthier tools, you know, especially if you're only going, and I'm not going to lie, are the nut slot files, the Temu ones, as nice? Are these as nice as my StudMax? These? No, they're not. They're not as nice as those, really, I wouldn't say. But they are passable. They will do the job, you know. I wouldn't have any problem whatsoever using those on a customer instrument. I have no fear that they're going to screw anything up, and they'll probably last a decent amount of time. It's probably not going to be anything like these StudMax, but when you're talking about a block of wood that has a radius cut into it, I mean, gosh, it's a block of wood. You know what I mean? It's like paying more for something like rice, you know, at the grocery store. It's like, it's rice, dude. You know, it doesn't get any simpler than rice. But, okay, so here's what we're going to do. And this is, I'll have to keep in mind here, this is going to put probably a couple little dents in this. So I am going to cover it with something. So I'm going to use this old Guitar Center gift card here. I'm sure Guitar Center will appreciate the free advertisement. And instead of my wooden mallet, I'm going to use my brass fret mallet here. And we'll just try to get this. Try to get this bent down in the center as much as possible. You know, and obviously we would not have to use this radius block. But this is a method that gives us, that definitely gives us something measurable that we can kind of look at. If you have a set of these radius blocks, they're more useful for other things too than just their intended purpose, which is to put sandpaper on them and radius a fretboard. You can check the radius of a fretboard with them. They make other tools for that also, but they're good for that purpose. They're also good for this. And see, this is where a lot of fret jobs kind of go awry. The temptation would be when you find a high fret like that is rocking on the ends to level it out in some way. But that's not going to fix the underlying issue with the fret. You know, you actually have to do, unfortunately, a little bit more with it to fix the underlying issue. We've got it radiused now. It's over radiused, but that is going to ensure that the ends of the frets stay in contact with the board, which is very important. And if I was smart, I would have marked which side was which was the up and the down, because that would have, that way it would have slid right back where it was. The tangs would have slid right back down into their old slots. But I think this will be fine. Okay. And that is much, much better. That is making full contact with the board all the way across now. When I measure this now, we get 0 clacking from end to end. None. Any of the other ones that we find that are clacking real bad like that, we're going to do the same thing to it. I'm just going to pull it.
Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it.
And re-radius it and do it right so that we know for sure that it's correct from the ground up. There's an ever so slight bit of clack on this one. It is up on one end right here, so yeah, you know, as easy as this operation is, we're just going to do it again. We'll pull this one out, re-radius it. Now, you might be asking yourself at this point, well, dude, you're having to do all this work to this Temu neck, and you're still having to do this work. How can that possibly be worth it? Well, I mean, dude, you know, first of all, you're buying the wood. In this case, this wood is super, super nice. I'm also buying the labor that it took to get the neck to this point. This is a lot of work involved in making this neck. Just the sanding alone, you know, to finish this off, to put the frets in, all this, even though there's a couple that are not correct, I can fix that easier than I could to even begin to build this neck. I made this hammer out of the cut off legs from some of my bar stools and a oak dowel. That's an oak piece of a bar stool leg that I cut off. Okay, that one still has a slight bit of clacking despite the re-radius. Despite the fact that it's sitting all the way down on the board now, it needs to be filed down somewhat. So we'll go ahead and take care of that while we're at this fret. We might as well. So we just kind of took a slight bit off the top there, not much, and no more clacking. Okay, so that one's good. Next one's good. Next one's good. Good. Got some clacking right here on this one. Oh, a lot of clacking on that one. All the way across. Now that one appears to be all the way down for the most part on the board. It might just be a high fret. First thing I am going to do though before I do anything else is tap it to see if we can get it down that way. And this should always be your first solution that you try. Tap the fret down, make sure that it's not a problem of it pulling up. And if you still get clacking after that, then you can shave it a little bit, you know, or do what I did and pull it and radius it if you need to. But definitely still high, so we're going to hit it with the crowning tool just to take some off. Okay, no clacking there. Slight bit of clacking in the middle on this one. So this one's actually the reverse of the ones that we've seen so far, and the clacking is only in the middle. So we're going to focus our efforts on the middle and just knock that part down. Tiny bit. You can hear it though. Tiny bit of clacking. It's almost gone. You got a tiny bit still left. Okay. That's probably got it right there. Yep, perfect. You ever seen anybody do fret leveling like this? I mean, the temptation obviously is just to level the fret, you know, just grab a block and level the frets, man, you know. And in a lot of cases I might do that. Like if the guitar was just a cheap guitar and it was a flip or something like that, you know, for me, maybe I would do that in some instances. But in this case, I want this guitar to be nice. I want it to be playable. I want it to actually live up to the niceness of the parts that are in it. I actually do think this is a super nice neck, very nice fretboard, nice body, nice looking parts. It's you know, good pickups. I have no complaints about the Temu parts, man, especially for what they cost, which is just insane. And my philosophy on this is, look, I am a realist, I'm a capitalist, and if you aren't taking advantage of the opportunities that are put before you, Yes, there are some things where you can have moral objections and this and that, but I don't think there are any in this case. You know, some of the things that have been talked about in the media and so forth, I don't want to go into it too much because I really can't in this venue, you know, because it's a sponsored video. So I'm not really interested in getting into detail about it, but I can tell you this. I searched for bases for all of these comments and complaints about Temu that I saw, and I saw nothing that stood up to any sort of scrutiny. The government, you know, puts out a document, for instance, the same people who said Iraq had weapons of mass destruction and who said we need to go to war and all these other places, you know, and who said Julian Assange is an enemy of the state, and you know, it's not the NSA that's our enemy, it's Edward Snowden. You know, these same people who did that and are putting out a document that's bashing this company, I should listen to them, right? No, I don't agree with that. I think that's ridiculous because they're the only source of some of the allegations that have been made, lodged. So I don't believe it because consider the source. But like I said, I don't want to get too much into that. It's not worth getting into, to be honest. And we are now perfect. That's now a perfect fret. But somebody mentioned, you know, it's possible that the reason you're getting some of these items for the prices you're getting them is because they're maybe factory seconds. It's possible. There's a possibility that this was meant to be in some other production guitar to fulfill a contract, and maybe it was rejected or something like that, or maybe they changed to a different style or something like that. I really don't know. Now with that headstock right there, I can't imagine what would have that headstock on it if it wasn't a Fender product. I mean, nothing really, right? So I don't know. Possibly this was some kind of prototype run for a Fender product, some kind of Squire or something that was going to be made over there. But man, it would be a super nice Squire to have this neck. All right, so let's vacuum up all this crap and then we will get to work on the nut. Okay, so we now have the bone nut installed on this, and it's overhanging on one side a little bit. They made it a little bit large, which is a good thing. It was a little bit wider, so I shaved it down to get it to fit into the slot, and it's a little bit longer, so you can kind of, you know, put it wherever you want. And I usually cheat a little bit this way if I have one that's, you know, got some room to do so, because I would rather have the high E further away from the edge of the fretboard, because it's the one that slips off the most, and the low E. The low E I'm not that worried about, because I'm usually, if I'm going to be pulling at all, I'm going to be pulling down this direction, you know, when I fret, not pushing upward off the edge of the fretboard, so it doesn't slip as much. Plus there's more tension usually on a low E than a high E. I've got all of the overhang here on this side, and I'm going to do something probably a bit controversial here. You know, it's strange too. Bone has a really distinctive smell whenever you sand it. It does not stink, but whenever you use a power tool, because the RPMs is so high, it kind of burns it. So it ends up being more like hair. It smells like burning hair. But yeah, it's not so bad though if you're filing. Actually, I love the smell of bone when you're actually just kind of filing it without power tools. I'm gonna grab some hand tools and finish that up. Could I have made this bone nut from scratch myself with a blank instead of you know, ordering one almost completely done for me? Yes, but is this way more convenient? Absolutely. It's not even close. The amount of time that you spend, you know, custom making a bone nut like that is pretty considerable. this is pretty much perfect already for you, and hopefully it will be like the last guitar that we built that was Temu. That's the one thing that was really a surprise, because I put strings on the thing and it basically just fell right together. I did not have to really do anything after that. You know, if we get lucky enough, that'll be the case here. Okay, that right there is really nice. Feels great. So the nut is done. Now I think we're ready to probably burn this our logo in this headstock, and then we can put the tuning keys on and then install this neck. Now comes the fun part. We're going to laser etch our logo onto this headstock, and to laser etch it, we're going to use this portable Genmitsu. This is a Genmitsu Z4. Oh man, that's going to be a huge logo. Oh boy. That's going to be huge. And it's really in the wrong spot too. That's alright. We'll deal with it. Oh no. Is it going to make it? I don't think it's got enough room. I don't know if it's going to have enough room, guys. It's going to be close. It's going to be real close. Oof. Oof. Is it going to make it? Oh, it just barely made it. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. We're going to run that again. And we're going to make it a little deeper this time. So that's what we're going to have on the headstock. I think that's going to be okay. That's pretty good. Albeit maybe perhaps a little large. It's definitely larger than the last one we did. But it's going to be cool. I dig it. Okay, that came out all right. I'm okay with that. Okay, it is time to install the tuners on this neck. The problem is these bushings that come with this set of tuners are not the right size. They are much, much too small for this. I do have a set of bushings that will work for this, and I think they're going to be fine for the tuners, and also they do fit these, so it doesn't really fit my idea of wanting to make a 100% all Temu guitar. But I mean, a set of bushings and a neck plate are the only two things that I've used that weren't Temu, so I think that's pretty close enough, right? Okay, alright, so there we are with tuners installed. We are going to need a string retainer here for the B and the E strings, but we'll put that on last after we get it all strung up. I do want to, before I get this thing fully installed and all that, I'm going to go ahead and grease these up, and I'm going to do it with some zoom spout. I'm going to go ahead and work these back and forth for a little while and lubricate them until I'm satisfied. And then we'll drill some holes and attach this neck. Before we attach the neck, let's admire our handiwork one more time. The frets on this neck needed a lot of work, so I ended up going back and leveling, crowning, and polishing all of the frets, but I'll spare you all that footage. I had some people ask me in past videos about how well the fret ends did in the pantyhose test. I really wasn't sure what they meant by that, so I asked one of them, and they said that the only way to test whether or not fret ends were sharp was to rub a pair of pantyhose across them. If the pantyhose tore, the frets were sharp. If they didn't tear, they were good to go. Having no good reason to question this logic, I decided to try it out for myself on my wife's best pair of pantyhose, and sure enough, they passed. I gotta hand it to my audience, I really learn something new every day. So anyway, after this important test, I drilled the pilot holes and screwed on the neck, making sure to tighten it down way too tight and crack the finish on the back of the guitar. I then strung it with a new set of 9-42 D'Addarios and installed the string retainer roller for the E and B strings, and now it's time for a demo. Okay, dudes, it's time to give this thing a test, and like the last Temu Strat that I built, I'm going to use the amplifier also that I built. This is a Hammond AO35 conversion. I'll put a link up somewhere down in the description so you can check that out if you like. And also, it'll allow you a one-to-one comparison between this guitar and the last guitar. Alright guys, that'll do it for this one. I hope you could kind of tell when I was kicking that blend knob in and when I had it all the way down. You know, it's a very versatile guitar, even more versatile than a regular Strat. So that'll do it for this one. I hope you've enjoyed. And yeah, join me on Locals if you want more behind the scenes stuff. Also, if you want to support the channel in other ways, I'll put a pinned comment up. And for now, we will see y'all later.